especially for sending us out, getting this on the books, and thanks everyone for letting us be here. I am Rachael Kaci. I'm the work experience teacher. I work at both Pali and Gunn. So you might know my name, however, from special education, as I recently exited after being in a case manager for almost 15 years and an aide prior. So I've been in the district quite a while. Most of my time has been special ed, but I was able to transition into the CTE department at Pali and Gunn. And I'll speak a little bit more today about what that means, but I am here. I did ask Richard Fuji to come. I hope many of you already know him as the transition specialist, but he's here to make sure that that we can kind of differentiate between what our services are. But I will be presenting today with Dr. Choe. Do you want to introduce yourself, Jeong, and then I'll get the presentation set up?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity for us to present and share our programs. My name is Jeong, and I am the Director of Innovation and Agility at the District Office, which I have been part of for the past 7 years. So we're really excited about all these opportunities, but I think we could definitely do better jobs at getting the words out about the opportunities that exist, so that the families or students that could take some advantage of these programs can really utilize them to help them get a better career or go through more experiential learning, whatever that learning experiences is. So we're share and really leverage how we get the words out about what we already have.
Awesome. Thank you. Lovely introduction. All right. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead through just hopefully a mini slide deck. We want to be mindful of the fact that we recognize this is a meeting time for all of you, that you're incorporating us to part of your agenda. So and then also don't hesitate. I have a really hard time when I present to check the chat box. So if somebody's monitoring that, or just you feel like you need to, ask a clarifying question particularly in the presentation part, don't hesitate. Otherwise, we will definitely have time for Q&A at the end. All right, so we are here to present K through 12 pathway programs. We are, again, grateful to have you here. Our agenda is just, real short. What is CTE? Can we kind of give it a brief explanation of who we are and what are the pathway programs that we offer before the Q&A? All right, Jeong, you're up.
So CTE by CTE's definition is a program of study that involves multi-year sequence of courses that integrates core academic knowledge with technical and occupational knowledge to provide students with a pathway to post-secondary education and career. The idea here is not just let the kids prepare for college, but let them prepare for higher employability. So it's college and career, keep everything in mind, and really taking the holistic approach to prepare them better for the workforce. And also, the bottom line is that we do this through connecting students to learning through real world connections. And so we're going to talk about various programs that exist that help students to do that. So I just talked about taking the holistic approach, and many researchers and the CTE recognize that we do need to recognize, there's a community component where a student may go out in the community and do internship, and where Rachael oversees that piece. And there's a skills building piece, the social skills and creativity, all of those things is something that industry is also looking for. And of course, we need to honor students' individual character development. So every student is unique, and how we foster their uniqueness through the combinations of program and the partnership with you guys as well. And health, mental health, physical health, that's all part of it. And also definitely keeping career in mind. So we have started to offer certifications, and we're going to briefly talk about that because we also began some conversation with special education department for those opportunities, as well as internship. And of course, we've been paying a lot of attention to academics. So those include things that are listed on here. But again, it's not just academics, but the holistic approach that we take that can help students. So by definition of CTE, there is a designation of 15 industry sector, which is a wide range of topics that students may feel very relevant to. So, if they're interested in fashion design, we have a program for that. If they're interested in transportation, we have automotive. So we don't offer all of these 15 pathways, but based on the need and then the existing history of staffing and everything, we do cover quite wide range of these topics and pathways. Next slide. To get the words out, I mentioned one of our goals this year is we've been building a lot of programs, but we need to do a better job at making it more accessible to all families. So we began this journey by creating the secondary handbook. And Rachel, if you can click on the video.
Sure.
So it just lists all the pathways that exist within the district, from early childhood to business. And so it's really outlining. So if you click on the hand, which we're going to be sharing the slide deck, you will be able to access that. But if you CAC would like some hard copies, I would love to get that to you as well. Next slide. So at the state and federal level, they've really been pushing that exploration of career, and students thinking about careers don't just begin at the end of high school or college. You need to expose them starting younger. So they really have been pushing for this K through 12 continuum model. So we've been influenced by the CDE because they've been pushing. So we have started Creativity Card program several years ago, modeling after the makerspace, because at that point, some schools had makerspace, other schools didn't. So it was also the equity angle. And I'm also really proud to announce that we've won Hoffman Award for this year. So our school district is being recognized, and there's a whole high school service component that's part of it as well. And then at the middle school, we have exploratory wheel courses, as well as the elective courses. And at the high school level, we have different elective courses and different pathways, sequences of courses students can take. Also, a big component of that, which Rachel's spearheading, is this work-based learning, not just the course taking, but also can we put them out in the real world and have them gain that experience. So those are the kind of pieces, and that leads right into the work-based learning, which Rachel's going to go over.
Sure. Thanks so much, Jeong. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I just want to highlight that, of course, work-based learning opportunities happen if your child has a job or internship, and I would love to have them in the work experience program that I teach. But I also want to highlight that there's additional opportunities that are available for any child to participate in. For example, we're spearheading Career Month in the month of March at both Pali and Gunn. So we have guest speakers coming the week of March 21st. We have, well, actually PAUSD has a career fair, but we try and offer job fairs during March, but it has been quite a busy March. So we did have a job fair over the weekend for camps only on Pali campus, but we will be moving the job fair, the traditional job fair that happens on campus, to April or early May. There's always, but then the other layer that we want to add on is in the work experience program, the course that I teach, we have job shadowing opportunities. We have work site training where I go to the work site and meet with the managers and make sure that the health and safety practices are being followed. We discuss in class workplace challenges. We host mock interviews. Sometimes we have guest speakers coming in to host those mock interviews, or we do them in the classroom. And traditionally speaking, a student in the class has an internship, apprenticeship, some type of job training, whether it is for paid or unpaid. Those are the opportunities. It is a course that meets one time per week. We leverage the fact that a student is spending time outside of the classroom at their job site, and that is being able to be transferred onto their transcript if they enroll in the work experience course that I teach. But again, we do want to offer additional services to all students, all secondary students that we're working with. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. For high school students, high school students, but for families with students in high school, even potentially middle school, 14 and up, basically, you're, hopefully this slide is familiar, maybe not to you, but to your child. This is where I post a lot of the job opportunities. I just got 2 more in the past 24 hours. So this is updated regularly. I do post it to Schoology regularly, and I try and send it out, if not in the guidance newsletters, on the parent newsletter. So, but anyway, it's a great resource. I actually included the one from last year as well as a link, just in case you want to look through maybe old opportunities for your child to get involved in, again, a summer program or some type of job site training. And then kind of nuts and bolts, again, I am a work experience teacher. So 14 and 15-year-olds might be getting involved with some type of job experience. I really want to highlight that the career, as Jeong did, right, with the career exploration and all of that, is starting younger and younger, and that's you as parents and guardians are facilitating that as well. Your child might be involved in neighborhood activities or supporting someone, in the neighborhood with pulling out their trash bins, delivering goods. Those are all work experience. Maybe they're not paid, and you definitely don't need a work permit to work in your community at that small of a level, babysitting and tutoring. But that's a great way to get, students to have self-confidence in themselves and build up some of those skills, right? Whether, all of those soft skills of the communicating and whatnot. Your child, however, does need a work permit if they're going to get paid. And again, if they're under 18. So again, most 14 and 15-year-olds are doing camp counselors, lifeguarding, tutoring. There are, again, back to the job fair or the job opportunity slide deck, there are opportunities for all age levels, again, paid and unpaid here. So if your child is older than 14 or 15, you're welcome to explore here. There are some restrictions based on the child's age, and that's why I'm highlighting what a 14 and 15-year-old might want to be engaged with, coming up in the summer. And all of this, really what we're trying to do is, build this career awareness, give students opportunities to explore, because that will make them have, in theory, a better and more productive future, to start talking about ways that they can build their, maybe it's a tangible resume, maybe it's just, having those conversations of like, what jobs are you interested in and how can we get more information for you during this time period in high school? Is it taking a course in CTE? Is it going to do a job site visit? Is it, following a parent to their job site? Finally, Dr. Jeong touched upon this a little bit earlier about the certification piece. There are numerous certifications available. We offer them sometimes within the classroom. I am probably the best contact person at this point, so don't hesitate to contact me. We're talking about Safe Serve certification, that's food handler certification. We have students enrolled in the early childhood development pathways who are getting child development certifications. We have 21st century skills. So there's, you don't just have to have certain things on your resume, but these are things that can highlight and add to a student's, qualifications, ability, stuff that they can showcase on their resume, or just get them started in that job seeking world. Now they have something tangible to go talk to, when they go to get hired, is, I have this certification in the food handlers. So I think I'd be a great asset to start hosting at this job site, such and such restaurant.
Yeah, and Cindy's here. We just began conversation about how to get future students, because they do like cafes and things, get them certified in food handlers certification. So that conversation is happening.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's all right. I think we're actually officially at the end of what we wanted to somewhat promote in terms of what we are CTE. There is additional slides. I know Allison's looked through this already, that you're welcome to explore. What we've added on is, of course, we want to say thank you, so I'll circle back to that. But I wanted to just let you know that, again, my background, right, as a special education teacher and case manager in the past means that I'm still connected to families that have either outgrown PAUSD already or maybe are still in high school. And so I do have, if you continue on in the slide deck, I do have some testimonials from parents who are talking about what are the opportunities that are available. And I would say that what they highlight the most is the transition services. And that's why I'm grateful that Rich Fuji is here on the line, not to put you on the spot, Rich, but I do really encourage families to explore that opportunity and what's available. They have such amazing programs through the VA and beyond. We try our best to work collaboratively, but kind of the difference between myself and Rich is, I'm servicing all of PAUSD, specifically gun and Pali students, which means, I'm servicing almost 5,000 students, and Rich has the opportunity to support students and his team, right? It's not just him, to support students with IEPs. So please don't hesitate to contact me if your child, has a 504 or has a need maybe that I can support better in that sense. And then of course, as an IEP, I strongly encourage you to contact Rich Fuji.
Yeah, and I have there's a great question in the chat box. So a parent of a child of 10th grader who has a 504 plan for ADHD and Pali. Academic year, it's got a handful of academic workloads. So summer is the best time for him to try work and internship opportunity. So if you, for summer opportunity, when does he need to start looking, and what's the best place for him to start? So I think that perfectly is what Rachael does. So
yes, yes, thank you so much. There's never a time to not start actively having these conversations, including just having your child maybe make the phone call if you're ordering pizza, maybe just having the child, your child think about places that they like and they're enjoying spending their time. I have done so many work permits at Great America recently. I have done so many work permits at local like boba shops, Kara's Cupcakes. I'm doing one today. So, I really ask parents to think about where is it that their child is enjoying and spending time. Secondly, also where are their friends working? If this is the first time that their friend is working, maybe they can partner up together. I'm sorry, the lights went off. And then the other piece that I really try and emphasize again is it's really important to think about the mentor relationship, and that's why working at a camp is such a valuable experience. You have children who are in elementary and middle school getting taught, or coached, whatever the word is, by typically high school students, but those high school students typically also have college mentors that they're working with. And again, what a great hierarchy to learn from a college student, but also pivot and be the example for an elementary school student. So that's why I strongly encourage families to have to explore camps as well.
Yeah. Often like the summer is it's like the busiest season for processing work permits.
Yes.
And even during COVID, students were really seeking a lot of different jobs, and our community is really, there's worker shortage. So they're always looking for to hire students as well. So there's a lots of opportunities. And so I just want to put that out there, because I think with COVID and being in virtual world, sometimes students are looking more for that hands-on piece. It's what the feedback I'm getting from some of the students and families. Yeah. And I have this one question. Could you please explain regarding Perkins 5 funding for special population for PUSD programs? So in terms of the Perkins funding, we don't get that much funding through Perkins. It's just based on population and demographics. So we get about, typically on annual average, about $35,000. So I'm going to be, that's the amount we get. And the special population piece is like, we support things like through Perkins is like DECA trip, or, some of the career-based clubs. And when they refer to special population, is that they don't want somebody not be able to participate in some of these opportunities based on like socioeconomic status, or based on not being able to provide accommodations. So those are the kind of pieces we look at before we approve some of these funding. So I hope I answered that question.
And there's a few more in the chat box. Jane had a great question about kind of the one-on-one supporting students with mental health. And I don't know, I don't want to make an assumption, but if you do have a student with an IEP, I strongly encourage you to get the IEP team involved, and they know when to rope me in. That doesn't mean you can't email me and have a conversation with me. But again, they have transition support services. Again, Rich Fuji is here. And so I don't want to take away from the additional support that they can offer, because they have a whole team, whereas again, I'm one person. But again, always happy to brainstorm. Rich and I talk pretty frequently. So we're always kind of, exchanging ideas and suggestions. Hopefully that's helpful. If not, continue on with that questioning. And then in terms of work permits, I saw in the box, I just want to highlight for those of you who aren't reading the chat box that work permits are offered and processed year round. There's two catches. One is when school's not in session, but excluding summer. So like for spring break, Thanksgiving break, winter break, we're all on break, right? We're all taking that mental health break that we all need. For summer, we do have summer school in session, so work permits are still processed during the summer. And of course, summer is such a high season, as Jeong already highlighted. So work permits will be processed throughout the summer. Just one more quick piece about work permits is your child does need a job offer. So the work permit form does need to be completely filled out. And that's, again, another great way to have your child have that conversation when they walk into a restaurant, to just, maybe you're going to dinner at a great yummy place that you all like, and just there's a host there, and you could say, are you all hiring? And just have your child start talking to the people in their community, even if they don't want a job. It's a great way to kind of break that ice and get them to start having those conversations abroad. If there's anything else, please, go ahead. I see a hand.
So the programs you were talking about were mostly while the kids are in school, grades 9 to 12. And I know Richard, because my son has an IEP, he'll go into post-secondary, but what about students who don't necessarily have an IEP and not going into post-secondary, but for whom 4-year or community college is not like, you hear about the counselors helping with college applications, and do you support students who are not in post-secondary beyond high school graduation. Is I think what I'm asking.
Sure. And is that, sorry, just to clarify, and that's directed at me, the non-SPED person, or anyone? Okay, so yeah, so from
anyone who can answer.
anyone on the phone.
I know my child will be supported in post-secondary because he's doing certificate of completion, but I'm just wondering about the kids who are on the diploma track but not looking to go to any kind of college.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Technically, in terms of my personal services, I encourage families to look into work experience, exploratory experience. Even if your child doesn't yet have a job, maybe we can work together if they enroll in my course or that program. And that is for the high school, like you mentioned. And then technically my role does stop once graduation comes, or, students are no longer a part of PAUSD. Rich, do you want to share a little bit about just the snapshot of transition services? Because I do believe there's a bit of a difference. Again, it is only IEP students though for Rich Fuji.
I do want to add, that's where the certification comes in.
That is a great point.
Because it is an industry certification. So if students are not planning on attending college right away, for example, like our early childhood education, we created dual enrollment where students are already getting college credit. What that means is that they can apply to the state at the end of the sequence of course taking path, at the end of the pathway completion. They can apply through credentialing commission office to get their credential to be at the preschool, like assistant teacher level or associate teacher level, based on their experience with course taking plus internship. So students are already walking out with these type of certifications that industry is looking for. So I want to highlight that piece.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know Richard had something to maybe potentially add in terms of the similar.
Oh, Rich's screen sharing. This is getting exciting.
Yes, thank you. So our transition service department, secondary options, used to be outside of SPED services, but after Dave retired, we moved into SPED. So now we're working directly with SPED services. And so this is a matrix basically kind of showing the transition services available to our students. So you see, we support students with an IEP, and you have the general special education services on the left, like case management, academic planning, academic communication, the speech pathologist, and services like that. And then we have another opportunity is the VA hospital. And so the school district provides monetary support for our students to get work experience at the VA hospital. And we have around 45 students that attend there. We have some post-secondary students, future students, and our students at Gunn and Pally. And we have a classroom teacher there, an ed specialist who's stationed there, and she has 3 job coaches to help support the students there. And then specific to transition, we have 2 grants. The first grant is a workability grant. It's funded by the state of or by the Department of Education. And that helps provide transition services for students 16 till they graduate. And that could be help finding a job, that could be a resume, that could be a paid work experience at different sites like Baskin Robbins, Walgreens, CVS. We have over 14 different business partners in the community that help provide paid work experience. And the grant actually pays the student minimum wage. The issue with our paid work experience in the community is that the students have to be independent in the community. They can't have a job coach, or so we'll provide minimal support, like mobility training, how they're going to get there. We'll go over their route, we'll go over their natural supports at the actual work experience. But the student does need to be independent in the community. And our second grant is the Transition Partnership Grant. And that is funded, that's a federal grant, and that's through the state of California. And that supports students and you see the blue line, all of the services stop upon graduation, right? They continue if they're going into post-secondary, but the only service that continues is the Transition Partnership Project. And that is a same thing, it's a transition grant. We can work with students 1 year post-graduation. So a lot of our students that go to Foothill or maybe haven't really decided what they're going to do, we enroll them in this grant, and we can work with them 1 year post-graduation on, looking for a job, looking for, like maybe schooling, maybe going to a 2 year school isn't for them. We can look at different certificates that they might be interested in. And so those are kind of our transition supports. And we have a transition specialist at Pally and Gunn, and we also have a employment specialist, and his whole role is to help the students with employment. He goes out in the community and advocates for the students if they're applying at a job, and he helps them with resumes and anything employment. That's his role. So I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Rich.
No problem.
I know this is, I was invited, but I'm so glad you are here to highlight that. I think it's really important information for families to know, and I try and reinforce it often because yes, it is a free service. I just want to kind of loop back to the presentation that Jeong and I presented officially. And as a reminder, there's additional slides on there, and there's content from a former PAUSD CAC parent. And that might, and there might be some additional just ideas for all of you and your families beyond who are not here today to just kind of consider when you are planning. And, again, that emphasis of sure, there's academics and we understand we're in school right now, but all of us are going into the workforce if we're not there yet, right? Meaning our children and our students. So what are some things that we can be doing to start planning and thinking about that? Thank you so much for all the information that's happening in the chat box and here on the call. I just want to be really mindful of the time we have. We're kind of at our 30 minutes that we've been allotted, knowing that this is also your meeting, Allison. So if you don't mind kind of letting us know next steps, I just want to say thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. This is really fabulous information. I think really valuable for the parents who are attending. And yeah, there's some great questions and answers in the chat box. I'm just going to say a couple of them so that they're on the recording. But someone asked if there are spaces available in the ECE. And the answer was yes, there's space available for all interested students. Someone commented that their child had a great experience at the VA hospital. And then there's also a question if there's information regarding your actual placement success for students with IEPs. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, I definitely don't have that on my fingertips.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you. This is, really wonderful. Thank you for sharing your time with us and all this valuable information. We will, for everybody who attended, and for our community, we'll be sharing the recording and also the slides. And as Rachel said, there's more information on the slides that she wasn't able to get to. So check those out. I'm going to.
I also, last minute, I want to add that we have an industry advisory that also advises what they are looking for. So we try to listen to the industry in terms of what can we do as an education system so that they are hireable and employable. So I want to add that piece because I know some people had questions about what if my child doesn't want to go to college but wants to get an industry job right out of the high school. So
I think one of the other questions, somebody asked a question about if a child's in an NPS, are they eligible for the program?
Yeah. I was going to circle back on that one also.
Okay.
Yeah, I do service work permits for all students that are, live and reside within PAUSD. And then again, typically an NPS kid, right, has an IEP, not always, typically. And so in that case, we would be servicing them through their IEP team.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Jeong.
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, I'm going to